I'd like to welcome everyone to the April 8th council meeting for Peterborough County. Welcome back. Hope everyone had a good Easter weekend, and we hopefully Monday or Tuesday was a welcome back to winter. Hopefully that's the last. Anyway, we will call the meeting to order and we'll start with our roll call. Asphodel Norwood, Mayor Wilford.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Burt.
Present.
Kevin Monican, Mayor Graham.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Huntley.
Good morning.
Duro Dummer, Mayor Watson. Good morning. Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Havelock Belmont Methuen, Mayor Martin,
Present.
and Deputy Mayor Webb.
Present.
And North Kawartha, Mayor Amiot,
Good morning.
and Deputy Mayor Whalen.
Still here.
In Otonabee, South Monaghan, Mayor Taylor,
Here.
myself, Deputy Mayor Clark. In Selwyn, we have the Mayor and Deputy Warden Senes. Present. And Deputy Mayor Black.
Present.
And in Trent Lakes, we have Mayor Lambshead.
Present.
And we will welcome Councillor Franson, who is filling in today for Deputy Mayor Armstrong. So welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
We'll start with the land acknowledgement.
With deep respect, we acknowledge the lands and interconnected waterways that bind us together, the foundation for all life. These lands serve as a keeper of history and stories and are a source of inspiration. In recognizing this, we embrace that all living things possess an important energy and purpose. We extend the utmost gratitude to the original peoples who have been caretakers of these lands and waters of this region from time immemorial, and to this day who continue this commitment. Peterborough County's dedication to reconciliation remains steadfast. In this spirit, we are committed to nurturing meaningful partnerships and connections that contribute to an environment of prosperity and well-being for all generations to come. This acknowledgement is made on the Treaty 20 land and the territory of the Mississauga Anishinaabe, and within the traditional lands of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nations. Further, our gratitude is extended to the nations of Alderville, Beausoleil, Curve Lake, Georgina Island, Hiawatha, Rama, and Scugog Island.
We'll now have take a moment for silent reflection. On behalf of County Council, I would like to also recognize the memory of Marie Sloan, who passed away on March 25th, 2026. Marie was a Lakefield councillor from 1984 to 1988 and county councillor and deputy reeve for Lakefield from 1988 to 1991. We extend our deepest condolences to her family, friends, colleagues, and all mourning her loss, and thank her for our service. Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda? And moved by Councillor Burt and second by Councillor Lambshead. All in favor? Thank you. Does anyone have a declaration of pecuniary interest in any agenda item? And if so, please disclose that interest and the general nature thereof. And I see none. Thank you. Our minutes from March the 18th. Could I have a mover for those and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Wilford, second by Councillor Martin. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, am I moving to consent items, Carrie? So moving to 8 consent items, and we have had item 7E from correspondence pulled, and Councillor Watson asked for this to be pulled regarding the police services funding. So I'll turn it over to Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Warden, through you. So this is a motion, it's item number 7 on the correspondence report from a resolution from Prince Edward County, just speaking about the OPP costs and the lack of control and concerns about the rising of those costs. Of course, many, if not most of the municipalities at the table here have OPP. This is nothing against, of course, our members who are serving in the Peterborough County Detachment, but I felt as chair of the Peterborough County OPP Detachment Board, it's important to bring this forward and support this because rising costs are ongoing, and I think community safety is something that's important to everybody sitting at this table. So I'm just seeking council support on that.
Okay, so you're making the motion of support then?
Yes.
Okay, and a seconder for that, Councillor Webb, all in favor? Thank you. Now, can I have a motion to receive the remainder of the consent items moved by Councillor Black and second by Councillor Whalen? All in favor? Thank you. And we'll move to staff reports. 9A, thank you. And Manuel Pinto will go through that report.
Through you, Warden, thank you very much, and good morning, County Council. Today's report responds to the growing level of public interest, concern, and discussion around the Alto high-speed train project and its potential impacts on Peterborough County. The purpose of the report is not to endorse or oppose the project, but to provide staff and council with a clear, consistent framework for how the county engages with Alto, advocates for residents, and coordinates regionally as the project advances. Alto is a federal crown corporation tasked with delivering a high-speed passenger rail service between Toronto and Quebec City, including a route through Peterborough County. There is currently no unified county-wide strategy guiding engagement or advocacy. That is the gap that this report aims to address. As a federal project, there is an understanding that Alto could proceed regardless of municipal support. Peterborough County is in a unique position where other communities may benefit from proximity to a station, but at the same time have the negative impacts associated with a wide rail corridor dividing our lands. Given that reality, it is in the county's best interest to engage constructively, raise concerns early, and advocate firmly for local priorities. As the saying goes, if we're not at the table, we're on the menu. The proposed engagement principles were developed to align with the county's strategic values. If endorsed, these principles will guide future discussions with Alto and provide clarity to residents, municipalities, and partners. I will read the 5 principles as they stand in the recommendation. Number 1, Peterborough County will prioritize transparency and accountability, ensuring residents, businesses, and townships receive clear and consistent information at every stage of the project. Number 2, Peterborough County will work towards outcomes that reflect the long-term best interests of residents, businesses, and townships, supporting social well-being, economic vitality, and quality of life. Number 3, Peterborough County will seek to minimize impacts to connectivity, municipal service delivery, agriculture, significant environmental features, and local employers, while supporting responsible growth. Number 4, Peterborough County will advocate for respect, fair treatment, and meaningful recognition of rural voices throughout the project development and implementation, reflecting its role as a champion for rural communities. And number 5, Peterborough County recognizes that the Alto project presents both significant potential benefits and legitimate challenges for our communities. The county affirms that raising concerns, asking questions, and seeking improvements on behalf of residents does not equate to endorsement or opposition of the project. That is the recommendation in front of you today. The report also recommends establishing a Peterborough County Alto Strategic Working Group, as outlined in the appendix of this report. The working group would include the warden and all 6 mayors from the impacted townships, supported by senior county staff. Its role would be to coordinate information, assess risks and opportunities, and develop a consistent long-term strategy. Given the length and scale of this project, this structure ensures continuity, coordination, and transparency across the region. The recommendation is that Council receive the report, endorse the engagement principles, and direct the establishment of the strategic working group. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Manuel. And questions, Councillor Lambshead.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to, there's a couple of municipalities that are there. It does directly affect, I mean, it doesn't come through our municipalities, but we certainly are a part of Peterborough County, and we would always have a bit of representation on that committee.
Thank you, Councillor Lambshead, and through you, Warden. The working table is not designed to replace council, so reports will still be coming back to the whole council as a group, including the mayors from the impacted municipalities that are currently in the study area. Creates more of a focus for the working of the group, because the rail corridor could go through those municipalities and the structure could change. So this is for this year. For the next term of council, it could be changed depending on the needs of the working group.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our CAO for response as well.
The great response, Manuel. Just to augment too, we want to ensure we don't have a quorum of council. So having all mayors as well as the warden on the committee with the working group would constitute a quorum of council. And as Emmanuel stated, decisions would come back to the council table as a whole.
Councillor Huntley, then Councillor Black.
Through you, Warden, to Emmanuel, I'm glad we're kind of establishing where we, kind of aren't sitting on this, because we're not really picking a side. We're waiting for it to unfold, which is, kind of, where we are in this process and where Alto is in the process, right? Like we're not making decisions at this point. My only question is with point number one, principle number one. I mean, it really is, where we gonna be transparent on all, like, this isn't our project. Right, so this should be kind of honed into how it affects Peterborough County, not the whole Alto project, because you don't want to be reporting on things going on in Trois-Rivières or Dorval. Is affecting us. So maybe there's a little fine tuning there.
So through you, Warden, and thank you for the question, Councillor Huntley. So with these being engagement principles, these are the principles by which the county, whether that's council, staff, others, engage with Alto. So I think it's important that we as a county are transparent to the public with what we are advocating for, with what we're telling Alto. And at the same time, in engaging with Alto, we want to ask them to be transparent with our communities, with our public, our townships, to make sure that everyone is getting the information that they need to make decisions and to successfully advocate for themselves. So that is the intention. It's the intention to engage transparently and to request transparency from the Crown Corporation.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for that clarification. I guess still, I mean, we can only communicate what has been communicated to us, right? So I think, it's almost more like a filtering system, saying here's what's affecting Peterborough County that's coming down from Alto. Like I understand the advocation part, and I understand the trying to force them to be more transparent, but we can't be more transparent than they are with us, right?
Correct.
So just kind of a nuance on that one.
And number two, Councillor Huntley, too, Peterborough County will work towards outcomes that reflect the long-term best interests of our residents. So certainly a focus on our residents. Councillor Black, and then I have Councillor Graham.
Thank you, through you, Warden Clark. I support the motion. But just to, again, a point of clarification with Councillor Lambshead's questions earlier, Selwyn Township is not in the suggested corridor unless the train's going to come north of Peterborough. It's not going to affect Selwyn Township. So it's a bit, in part of the presentation, talk about the deputy warden being on the committee. So is it the deputy warden or is it the mayor of Selwyn that is the member of the committee? So by position, or because if the other two are being left, I understand the quorum issue, but Selwyn's in when the other two are out, and all three of us are not in the corridor.
So through you, Warden, thanks for the question, Councillor Black. At present, in the Alto map, part of Selwyn is in the blue study corridor. So that is why the mayor of Selwyn is included.
It's a small sliver, but it's a 10-kilometer is the diameter right now.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Councillor Graham.
Through you, Warden.
Sorry.
Just kind of building on, sorry, was there something else? Sorry.
Can I just,
Yep, no problem.
Councillor Graham, and I'll go over to our CAO who wanted to speak to that.
Thank you, and through you. It's my understanding, and I don't mean to go against what you say, Emmanuel, that it would be the deputy warden position that would be on this committee and the warden position, because the warden acts as a spokesperson, and thereby in their absence, it would be the deputy warden.
Clarification. Okay, thank you. Okay, Councillor Graham, then Councillor Taylor.
Through you, Warden. Yeah, just building on Councillor Huntley's comments. I just fear that the language in the number 1 principle, where I think we all understand where we're coming from, but the issue is that we have no ability to manifest the detailed information that we're going to get. We're very much going to inherit it, and we can always ask for other things, but I just worry that it sets us up to as though, or it insinuates to me that we're going to be the source of the information at every step of the process, and we are not. We are going to inherit what we have, and we will be absolutely attempting to share all the pertinent information with as many people as possible. But to me, the language in the as it's presented is just very much sort of taking the responsibility for the transparency of the process to, and as Councillor Huntley said, we have no ability to do that other than from an advocacy and request standpoint. So I don't, it's kind of reminds me of the COVID experience that many of us went through. You know, we're not providing scientific data or ability to synthesize scientific data when it comes to this. So we very much kind of have to stay in the lane that we are delegated to and absolutely share the information and advocate for transparency along the way. But I worry that it sets us up as we're going to have, you're coming to us for any pertinent information about anything to do with this project. And we're always going to get it secondhand. And then for it to be a tertiary interpretation, I worry about that. And I don't think, I've been trying to think since Councillor Huntley made those comments about how to change it, but, you know, it's more of the intention that we're going to make every effort to, you know, pursue and share all pertinent and accurate information about the project as it moves through the progression. Like, to me, that language is more respectful of our role in the process and what we can actually fulfill, rather than, you know, that we're going to be able to provide all of this, you know, granular data as we move through the process that's, you know, 10 and 20 years down the road.
Thank you. I turn back to our CAO, and then I have Councillor Byrd, then Councillor Taylor, then Councillor Webb. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, I do see the point taken and would suggest some minor wording changes to item 1, being that Peterborough County will advocate for transparency and accountability from Alto, ensuring residents, businesses, and townships receive clear and consistent information at every stage of the project. I think that provides clarity as per the discussion.
That's good. Thank you. Councillor Byrd.
Thank you, through you, Warden. Yeah, I was just going to add the word share from Alto, but that sounds much better. Emmanuel, just to confirm, you had mentioned this is the first phase of this group going forward. Obviously, as that corridor tightens down, whether that be by the end of this year into 2027, obviously, likely this group will change a little bit depending on the corridor. Should that wording be in there or no? I'm just wondering, as we move forward, looking at that. I don't know whether that's necessary or not, but certainly as that corridor tightens up, this group is going to change, I do believe. So I don't know if that wording needs to be in there or not. So just throwing that out there. Thanks.
Through you, we could add it that composition can be reviewed as applicable by council throughout the process, and then that allows that.
Thank you.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Warden Clark. Sharon, thanks for that amendment. That was very similar to what I was going to propose, just by adding words from Alto in there. I think addresses the concerns. With regards to the composition of the committee, I mean, this committee is just set up for the balance of this term, and it will have to be reconstituted at next term, depending upon who's sitting around the table. So I think to Councillor Byrd's point, that will be done. I support the motion. I think that at this point in time, you know, the saying, the devil is in the details, and we have very few details.
Yeah.
So we don't know what we're supporting or objecting to. So for now, this is a neutral position, which I think is safe. And I think the prudent course of action at this point in time, until we can identify whether or not we actually have something that we can support or oppose. But for now, this is, I support this.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Chair.
Through you, and thank you, Mayor Taylor, that was a good point. Perhaps in the motion that the appointees be by title, so warden, deputy warden, mayor of Otonabee South, Monaghan, mayor, as such, so that even through the next term of council, it should be the applicable mayors of the townships impacted, and then we add the note that composition to be reviewed throughout the process by county council.
Councillor Webb.
Yeah, thank you, Warren. Through, just for clarification, I'm looking at the table that outlines each municipality and their position on it, and it has HBM listed as not taking an official position. We've taken an official position back on March 17th, and we did it again at our meeting yesterday. That kind of similar to Duro at this moment, what we've been presented, we are against the project, but are open to more information that comes forward in the future. So if the project changes.
And
Through you, Warden. Thank you, Councillor Webb. I was not aware of that, but I will reach out to your CAO clerk for that motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
And maybe we could ask that anything at local councils regarding Alto be forwarded to county council so that we are certainly up to speed on this. So thank you. Yes, Councillor Franzen.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to bring up, I believe this is a nation building infrastructure project, and we are all Canadians. We should also be looking at the impact and the pride Canadians will have when this project is completed.
Thank you. No, point taken. Thank you. Any further questions? If not, there is, maybe we could read the amended motion so we know.
All of it or just the amended? Okay. So that council endorses the following 5 engagement principles for future discussions with Alto. Number 1, Peterborough County will advocate for transparency and accountability from Alto, ensuring residents, businesses, and townships receive clear and consistent information at every stage of the project. Number 2, Peterborough County will work towards outcomes that reflect the long-term best interests of residents, businesses, and townships, supporting social well-being, economic vitality, and quality of life. Number 3, Peterborough County will seek to minimize impacts to connectivity, municipal service delivery, agriculture, significant environmental features, and local employers while supporting responsible growth. Number 4, Peterborough County will advocate for respect, fair treatment, and meaningful recognition of rural voices throughout project development and implementation, reflecting its role as a champion for rural communities. Number 5, Peterborough County recognizes that the Alto project presents both significant potential benefits and legitimate challenges for our communities. The county affirms that raising concerns, asking questions, and seeking improvements on behalf of residents does not equate to endorsement or opposition of the project. That these engagement principles be shared with media, Alto, townships, all local MPs, local First Nations, and Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus members. That council directs staff to establish a Peterborough County Alto Strategic Working Group as outlined in Appendix A to develop unified regional strategy regarding the Alto high-speed train project. That the county warden, the county deputy warden, the Asphodel Norwood mayor, the Cavan Monaghan mayor, Darrell Dummer mayor, Havelock Belmont Methuen mayor, and Otonabee South Monaghan mayor be appointed to the Peterborough County Alto Strategic Working Group, and that the composition can be reviewed throughout the process by council as applicable. That the warden be authorized to act as county spokesperson in consultation with the working group on matters relating to Alto high-speed train.
Thank you, Carrie, for that. A mover for that, please. Moved by Councillor Huntley and second by Councillor Taylor. All in favor. Thank you. All right, moving on to staff reports and Doug is on, is he? Okay, very good. Thank you, Doug. I'll turn it over to you regarding the microservicing. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Warden. Good morning, County Council. So the report before you today is in relation to the microservicing program and the recently closed tender that we had out to the market. Just to note, this tender did include county roads as well as any participating township roads. And that was really to get economies of scale within that tender. So 3 bids were received, with Miller Paving Limited being the lowest compliant bidder. And the report is before council today, as the overall costs of the program will be over budget by approximately $77,000. And staff are anticipating that that can be balanced from surplus from other 2026 capital projects. And so as such, staff are recommending that award be to Miller Paving Limited for the microsurfacing tender.
Thank you, Doug. I'll look for questions. Yes, Councillor Black. Okay, move the motion by Councillor Black and seconded by Councillor, I'm going to get Councillor Franson on record here. All in favor? Thank you. And Doug, there has been several of our contracts that have come in under budget this year that will help balance this as well. Am I correct in that?
Through you, Warden. So we actually just recently did close our surface treatment tender as well. And so that is under budget, but our hot mix asphalt program has not closed yet. So we're anticipating there could be some surplus there as well as our cross culvert tender. So that's where we're saying that surplus could be funded from the surplus from other projects.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry, Councillor Taylor. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Doug, it's related to your report. I'm noticing throughout a number of county roads, I guess it's significant damage, and I think it's related to the winter that we had on a number of our roads, some of which were just resurfaced not all that long ago. What's staff's opinion on that? Are we going to be looking at more costs, more repair work than what we had originally anticipated? And I guess, is it primarily due to the winter weather?
Yeah, through you, Warden. Great question. And definitely something they're experiencing across, I would say, Eastern Ontario. Definitely we're seeing that the winter we have definitely has an impact on the roads. What I can say is the roads that were recently done, we do have a 24-month or 2-year warranty. And so depending on the scope and nature of that, our contract for those staff are working with to be completed through the warranty. So at no cost to the county on those to be repaired. As for general longevity, the impacts we're seeing, there could be some uptick in our hot mix asphalt patching program we have. So that's an operating account that we use to really kind of fund that, to keep those roads held together until we can do something such as a microsurfacing to really cap those roads.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further questions. We'll move on to 9C, and Carrie, I'll look to you to speak to this bylaw regarding remuneration.
So this report is in front of council as a follow-up to the March 18th report, and it's regarding the council remuneration bylaw review. At that meeting, we did ask for comments to be received prior to this meeting, and a couple were received on per diem, conferences, and salaries. Staff reviewed the comments and gathered further information to be able to provide council with an estimated financial impact of the suggested changes to the per diem and for the conferences. So that is attached to that report as Appendix A. And staff are comfortable with recommending the suggested changes to Section 2 per diem for attending local boards and agency committees, for the hourly per diem to be lowered from 4 hours to 2 hours. Wording also is going to be added to the bylaw to clarify that travel time is not included. It's just the length of the meeting. So regarding the comment on conferences, staff are recommending a per diem of $200 a day be added for a conference, and that a flat rate of $100 a day for meal allowance. Regarding the salary review, the warden's comparison with our neighboring municipalities, also the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus comparison, the warden sits at the 50 percentile The counselor rate has fallen below that. And to raise the counselor rate of pay in alignment with the same as the warden, it's recommended that the rate of pay be increased from 25,417. That was to the 26,365. That is for the 2026 rate. During the 2022 term, the deputy warden position was paid 1.18 times the counselor rate. And if this same methodology was applied to the deputy warden role for the next term of council, the recommended wage would be 31,111. So these suggestions have been included in the draft bylaw that was attached to the report.
Thank you, Carrie. Questions? Yes, Deputy Warden Sims.
I think through you, with the $100 a day for the meal allowance, are we still expected to hand in all the chits and things like that?
Receipts.
Or is that gone by the wayside?
No, that was removed in the report and in the draft bylaw. It with receipts was removed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further clarification? Yes, Matthew?
Yes, through you, Warden. Thank you. Just a question and more for clarity, and maybe it was just me that struggled. So I understand the nature and I kind of support the idea about netting out a number of meetings before some of the per diem component is in place. The only thing that comes to mind, and maybe this is too much in the minutia, is that, you're seeing the discrepancy in the report about, some committee meetings being 3 hours long. So there's theoretically you could have, if you were appointed to those committees, your 8 meetings or your default 8 meetings prior to the per diem could be 3 times as long as a comparator to net out the 8 in advance, right? And I'm not sure, so that was just discussed in there, and I'm not sure if it was going to intention to move forward with some of the other amendments, which I definitely support. I was just curious, and I don't want to necessarily go into the minutia because we're trying to remove some of the minutia and administration work in doing this fairly. There's a bit of worry that creates a bit of inequity if, you're having 8 half-hour meetings versus say 2.5-hour meetings. It's very much not the same thing. So I just wondered if there was a way or anyone had any thoughts about accommodating that nuance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you. Yes, when I received that comment, I thought, oh, it is a good idea. But when you look at it, exactly your point, some of those meetings, some are half an hour, like you said, some can go 3 hours, some are through the day, some are at night. And it would be an administrative hassle, to put it lightly. So it wasn't considered, and it wasn't reviewed any further and not included in the bylaw.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Warden Clark. Carrie, I wonder if you could clarify that for me. It would be administrative hassle to do what?
To keep track of every member of council's committee meeting attendance. Like the secretary of each committee submits how long the meeting was. But then there's your outside committees that I know, for example, we have a member of council that attends a committee that a staff member does not sit on, so he has to submit an expense report, which never shows up. So some members do submit expense reports and some don't. So we can't keep track of what meetings have been attended with ease.
So just to help me understand, you have to keep track of them in order to compensate counselors for that, correct? So I'm not clear on why it's more work.
I think Councillor Taylor is some councillors aren't putting in when it's a note of committee such as public health, or wouldn't put in per diem. So not everyone is putting in, where if you were waiting on staff, it would be automatic for some are.
And I may be alone on my island again, but my thinking is that as a member of county council, it's expected that we will have some committee meetings. And And I don't believe personally that we should be compensated for all of them. We should all be expected to attend some as part of our regular compensation. And so the number 8 seems reasonable. I don't know that the length of the meeting is, it may be a bit of a red herring, and I'll try to explain it this way. Some of the committee meetings that we are involved with may only last an hour or an hour and a half, but the preparation time for that committee meeting might be significantly more. Land division, for example, I was surprised to read that the land division average is just a little over an hour. That surprises me, but I can tell you the time spent preparing for a land division committee meeting is equal to any county council meeting. So the length of the meeting is not necessarily reflective of the amount of work that goes into it. And I think it all averages out. I think at the end of the day, we all have meetings that there's a lot of preparation for, and some not so much. Some that go on longer than they should, and some not so much. I like to try to find the balance between fair and reasonable and easy. And I would just suggest that if it's not unfair to say that every councillor, the first 8 meetings, whatever they would be, are part of your regular wage. And then beyond that, you're compensated. Because it is true that some councillors are on more committees than others and do spend more time. But I think we all spend at least 8 committee meetings over the course of a year.
Thank you. Councillor Martin. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, through you. I'm not in disagreement or anything, but that is what was reviewed at the last term of council with the consultant that council had hired to review that. And it was determined and recommended that council add a per diem on top of the salary. So like today, we're just reviewing, what we have to work with. And if you want a review of that 8 meeting and the administration of following it, like this report could come back.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, and through you. So these changes, they're for the next term of council though, right? Like this is, because some of the things that have changed, and I think I'm kind of on the same page as Joe. Some of the things that have changed over the years. I used to get frustrated when I first got on county council and meetings would come up, people at 2 o'clock, like, because the meetings used to go a lot longer. People would be leaving here at 2 o'clock and I'd say, why are they going to a meeting? Our meeting says in our thing that we're here from 9:30 to 4:30. And yet, and that's where I thought by, putting some meetings now that we have usually the whole afternoon left, when you put a meeting in there, really it's just part of your county council duties. You're supposed to be here till 4:30 anyway, possibly, or you could expect that. So when the meetings were in the afternoon, I just look at it. I'm probably one of them ones that wouldn't put in for it because I'm supposed to be here anyways. But it's just a different way of looking at it. And I know we did this study, but that's what it used to be. I don't know what it is now, but we're usually done by.
I need clarification because I thought the county council meetings were inclusive of our salary and we do not put in. Okay, good. Okay, good.
Yeah, like they're a part of it. But anyways, it's just a thing that if you're not putting in for it, like I used to have to fill out the sheet all the time. Like even at our township meetings, and I understand the administrative side of it, but if you're not putting in for it, well, you mustn't be worried about getting it then.
Deputy Warden Senna.
Through you, a bit tongue in cheek, but if a meeting goes more than 3 hours, maybe they should be looking at a new chair.
Yeah.
Councillor Webb.
Right, I'm just gonna piggyback off Jim's comments in terms of, we do have responsibilities here as part of county council. So I mean, if it's our responsibility to be turning in those receipts or whatever they are, and we're not turning them in, to me, that's on the councillor or whoever that person is, right? And if that's affecting your ability to track this, that shouldn't be on you. Like, we should still have the policy, and if people don't turn in your receipts, you don't get paid. So, to me, it's pretty simple.
Okay. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Through Warden. Just a point of clarification, the study that was done to come up with the salary and the per diem for meetings, if the per diems for meeting weren't there, would that have affected the base salary? So that's the question today. That's the problem today is, we're not really comparing apples to apples. because the base salary would increase if there wasn't per diems provided for separate meetings,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, thank you and through you. We engaged Gallagher last time to do a market review, and that's what this was based on originally. Carrie and her team took it upon ourselves to do it internally this time and not to, because we didn't feel that there were major changes that needed to be made to the policy, just minor amendments to adjust to current rates. She did it in collaboration with all of the townships as well. And so this has been brought to council and been brought back for approval now based on all of the input that we received through this process. So if we're going to send us back again to going to an external consultant, I think it's a bit of a waste of time. I think the review has been good and the recommendations are as fair as they can be, noting that all the committees are different and it's really hard to paint a brush that covers every possible scenario. But I think they've done a good job at the clerk's level to try to bring something forward that is market ready without making huge changes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Amiot.
Yeah, thank you. And good points that are raised, but I am in support of sticking with the per diem and making and the changes that you have recommended. I think it really can be the most fair and equitable because it's been raised that there are some members that are on a lot more committees than others. So at the end of the day, if you're putting in more of the work, you're going to get, more of a paycheck, I guess. So I think it makes sense to keep it at the per diems.
Okay. And yes, Councillor Graham.
Yeah, no, and through you, Warden, I agree with Councillor Amiot. I didn't mean to nitpick or sort of kick the hornet's nest because I do think this is, we're improving this and it's not like it's written in stone for perpetuity. If it proves not to be working, we can amend this or the future council can amend it and go from there. But I definitely think this is pursuing in the right direction and happy to support it.
Okay, so happy to move it, Councillor Graham, and seconder, Councillor Amiot. Oh,
Thank you. Thank you very much.
yes, the comment.
Speaking of motion, really, this is something that county council does before the beginning of every term.
Yeah.
This isn't something that we're doing differently here. We did it last term, as Sheridan said, with the aid of a consultant. We're doing it in-house this time, and in-house for me works fine. But we're not doing anything different here. And every time we review it, there's some changes made to it. It gets tweaked.
Thank you.
Just want to make that point.
All in favor? And nice to see that we can do it in-house and not always have to have consultants. All right, notice of motion moving to and yes, Councillor Whalen.
Thank you very much. I know this is unusual, but and I thought I was going to get my head chopped off, but I'm withdrawing my second of the motion. And if you get a seconder, then I'd like to explain why.
Okay. Councillor Lambsett is seconded, so I will turn it over.
I got the floor back, haven't
Yeah, Councillor Well.
Okay, when I came on council years ago, Warden was from Otonabee, the Burley Anstruther, Smith, Ennismore, Otonabee again, Belmont Methuen, Norwood, Harvey, North Kawartha again, Selwyn, every year, right, Pat? We had a new warden and it was fair. Everybody went, did their duty and that was it. Now, we had a service review and the service review said there should be a limit in it. And you have to take the personalities out of it. I like you, I like Shirley, I like everybody, but let's take a look at.
He's so friendly.
You have to take a look at it without the personalities. And the last 16 years, there's been 2 townships that had the warden. There were a number, of course, with 10 years and Otonabee now with 6. And if we do this, because this is just to help one person, not county council, it'll be 10 and 10 in all likelihood. So, I just can't bring myself to say that that's fair. I don't think it is. And, you know, the present bylaw, the service review got it right, I think. The motion of council got it right. And it's good, it's fair to everybody. And, it would stop, this, 10 years in one township and 10 years in another township. So for those reasons and a few others, I won't bother going into, I listened to everybody around the table, and the one issue I had isn't, Carol isn't here today, but she said that it would take 2 or 3 years to learn how to be warden. With the staff we've got, 2 or 3 weeks to do it. Because that's, you know, there's no, nothing secret about it. Every one of us has run a meeting, and the new warden might not go on every committee and not have to chair every committee and so on and so forth. So they pick their own level of what they wanted to do and how they do it. So as I say, I withdraw my motion for that, and I will not be voting for the motion.
Thank you, Councillor. I have Councillor Taylor and then Councillor Amiot.
Thank you, Warden Clark. And just for the record, Jim, I like you too, okay? Just for the record, I like you too. Here, yeah, as Councillor Whalen has said, the governance committee reviewed this and put it forward to county council to consider. And the change was made at the beginning of this term. This term isn't even over yet, and council's already considering changing it. And we haven't even had a chance to see if it works. And I that concerns me. When the recorded motion went through just at the end of last term, it carried 16-3, and quite a number of I can go through the list if you want. Quite a number of councillors who supported it then are still here. And I'd really like to know what's changed, because there were some valid reasons, I think, when we considered it and ultimately accepted it. Now, the concept of limiting a term for anything isn't new or unusual. In fact, it's fairly common. Peterborough Regional Health Center, their chair of the board of directors, 2 terms. Sir Sandford Fleming College, the chair of the board of directors of Fleming College, 2 terms. In fact, I think that's a policy with every community college in Ontario. The provincial government just a few years ago said that the chair of the Conservation Authority is limited to 2 terms. You'll get a kicker to this one. The United States of America. The United States of America.
Yes.
It's limited. Chair. No. It's limited to 2 terms, and I know what you're all thinking, and I agree. So this isn't anything unusual. There's a number of counties either have that in a policy or it's an unwritten agreement. So as Councillor Whalen says, the sharing of the responsibility and the privilege is shared equally. And that's what the intent of this motion that council ultimately passed was. There was too much emphasis, I believe, during preliminary conversation of this motion about we have to ensure we have absolutely the best warden. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I can go back and read off 12 or 15 of the previous wardens, and there wasn't a bad one amongst them, and none of them are the best. Everybody gets into the warden's chair. You bring your own leadership style, you bring your own strengths and your own weaknesses, and we make it work. So it's not a matter of we have to have you could go around this table and most of us could do the job of warden and do it quite well. I have no concern about that. So it's not something that only the privileged few can do, not at all. It's not that onerous. And in spite of what some people might think, it hasn't changed that much over the years. It's changed some of our jobs too, but not that much. So I don't support the motion. I'm concerned that the member of the governance committee and the person who made the motion to bring this change to begin with as now reading the notice of motion to reverse it. So I am concerned about that. And I think Carolyn's going to speak next. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I have lots of things to say, but I certainly would be happy to let more folks speak and I can respond to, any other concerns as well, right? But a couple of things that I just wanted to start off with, and I think some of you were aware because I was preparing for this notice of motion back in the early winter. I did kind of conduct an impromptu survey among some colleagues about, how you maintain a balance between like life, public life, personal life, that kind of thing. And it has been pointed out that I originally supported this motion for the term limits on the warden's position. And I was asked what has changed for me since that motion. And my response was my mind. So just like the deputy mayor changed his mind about seconding this motion. It's always our prerogative to contemplate, to mull things over, which often leads to adjusting our position and our opinion on things, right? And that's certainly the process that I have gone through. So, like I said, I don't know. I don't want to sort of take up too much time. If other people have questions or concerns about this motion, I'd much rather hear from them and then I can kind of respond to everything all at once. Does that make sense?
Fair enough. I'll go to Councillor Graham. I don't see anyone else speaking. Councillor Graham, please.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Warden, and through you. I understand the intention and I don't think there's anything nefarious about it in the notice of motion. But as Carolyn said, mine's changed. I think I voted against the initial or what's presented now with regards to the procedure. And, I have also changed my mind. I do think that there needs to be more of a circulation of these responsibilities throughout the municipalities. And that's really it. And it's nothing personal to anyone. It's just, it's a definitive honor to serve as a warden or the deputy warden. You're selected by your peers to be the ambassador for all of us collectively. And I think this warden's done a great job, but it is that honor that needs to be shared, I think, amongst other communities, both to have that understanding, but also that self-pride of their representations also being the warden. I think there's some intrinsic value to that too. So, but I don't want to get into the minutia, the details, but minds have changed and times have changed too. But I think that I also appreciate and believe that, having had my mind changed, that, this would be the first time that this bylaw or this procedure would be able to be relevant. So it hasn't even had the opportunity to be relevant yet. But again, I don't think that should be the only justification for everything we do, because as we all agree, times do change and circumstances do too. If there were considerations or there is no intention to remove the notice of motion, if we want to go down that road, I think there could be a criteria that allows, I don't read the existing bylaw as totally prohibitive of someone serving again. And that's just my reading. So if I'm wrong, maybe the clerk could correct me. But if that is the case, there could very easily be circumstances in which we create to say that, for instance, if there was unanimous support of council for the pre-existing warden to serve a third term, that makes sense. If everyone's in support of it, we shouldn't be bound by, a nuance or an exclusivity to that. But there should be some sort of threshold to sort of steer future councils to share this responsibility and have various voices represented from different communities in the county. So I'm not sure if that's where we want to go, Carolyn. I'll leave it to you, but those are sort of my comments with regards to the motion as it stands.
Okay, I'm just before Carolyn. Go ahead, Carrie.
Okay, in the current bylaw, it is no member shall. So it is definitive, and there isn't wording for a workaround on that. Like if there was a situation where no one wanted to run or council, unanimously wanted the warden to be allowed to run again. So that could come out of this meeting, is to add that wording to not make it so shall not.
Councillor Amy.
Just if I could, just clarification on that, if I could. The current policy is that it's not a lifetime ban. Once you've served 2 terms, you step down, but you can get back in a term later. So it's not, I think to answer Councillor Graham's question, this is not enabling someone to get back in as warden. You just have to step down for a term. That's all.
Correct. Councillor Amen.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe then I'm going to go through because I'm not seeing anybody else jumping up. So just to provide sort of, the background and the support and the reason why I brought this forward. So first of all, I think it became clear, like I said, through my little impromptu doodle poll, personal life demands have increased for elected officials, and the workload and the expectations, particularly for the warden. I've seen it just in my time here on county council. I've seen how things have changed. And I think given these realities, flexibility in leadership selection is increasingly important. I think the role of the warden has evolved significantly. I do not agree that it's kind of still been the same thing that it was 10 years ago or 15 or 20 years ago. I think it's changed from being largely ceremonial at the beginning to a substantive leadership and advocacy position. And you represent the county publicly and politically. You're the face and the voice of the county. An effective warden provides credibility, continuity, strong representation on regional and provincial matters now. I think the position requires time to develop proficiency, and I'm not disputing that staff aren't awesome and could whip us into shape in a few weeks' time. But the warden's role now functions effectively as a full-time position. Requires significant time, significant effort, and like many complex jobs, it does take time to learn the role, to develop the key skills, and become fully effective. Strong external relationships take time to build as well. A critical part of the warden's responsibilities involves maintaining credible personal relationships with provincial politicians and decision makers. And these relationships are based on trust and consistency and familiarity. And we all know those things take time. Term limits, I think, could undermine that continuity. I think council should always have access to the best candidate. The county deserves to be led by the most competent, dedicated, and effective individual available, regardless of how long they've previously served. Term limits can unintentionally bar strong candidates from running, potentially preventing council from selecting the best possible warden. And I think that democratic accountability is built into what we've got. The warden is elected every 2 years by a vote of all of county council, and that ensures regular accountability. And if council is dissatisfied with an incumbent's performance, they retain the full authority to elect a different candidate. So I don't necessarily think that term limits are required as a safeguard for that. I think term limits can unfairly restrict future councils. Procedural term limits, limits our options, particularly in scenarios where there are few potentially returning candidates. There's no guarantee that any of us are coming back to this room in December, right? Removing term limits would allow each new council to make decisions based on circumstances and available leadership rather than constraints imposed upon them by previous councils. And I think changing perspectives is a legitimate part of governance. Support for removing term limits for me reflects thoughtful reconsideration based on evolving responsibilities and my experience here as a county councillor over the past 8 years. Revisiting prior decisions as roles change, I think, is reasonable and responsible governance. I think it's something that, we're all supposed to do. And just, I guess, in summary, I did have a few conversations with folks leading up to this debate today, and I was told that it is no secret that I am the president of the Bonnie Clark fan club, implying that was my sole motivation behind my notice of motion.
Is there nothing wrong with that?
Now, it would be disingenuous for me to say that the current warden hasn't had an influence on my thinking on this matter. And let's be totally for real. If there really is a Bonnie Clark fan club, I'm proud to wear the title of president. I'm not ashamed to say that. But in all seriousness, I have given this matter a lot of thought and a lot of consideration. I think removing the term limits for the county warden promotes fairness, its flexibility, its continuity, and its democratic choice, while ensuring the county can be represented by the strongest possible leader at any given time. Existing election processes already provide adequate accountability, making procedural term limits both unnecessarily and potentially counterproductive. At the end of the day, there are a number of factors that may restrict a member of this council and their ability to run for the position of warden. I no longer believe that having term limits in our procedural bylaw should be one of those restrictions. That's
Thank you. Councillor Lambshead.
I was just going to say ditto, but I don't think that's fair. Thank you very much. My idea here is that we get to change this person every 2 years. So if you're not doing a good job, you're not gonna be there. So every one of us have an opportunity every 2 years to run as warden. So I think we all should have that right and responsibility to be part of that. It's my short-winded version.
Thank you. I'm going to call, Deputy Warden Senes.
Yes, thank you through you. When I first got elected to council 20 years ago, the thing that I hated hearing the most was, we've always done it this way. And that's kind of what I've heard back in the past, we used to have 1-year terms and it gave everybody a chance. I think the job has changed dramatically, even since I've been on county council for the past 12 years. And I know how hard our warden works. It is a full-time job. And if anyone is thinking that they would like to be the warden for a 2-year term because it's prestigious and, they like to represent the county, they might want to think twice before they put their name forward, because it is a full-time job. And if you're the mayor of a township and you feel you can do the warden's job too, I think you might be taking away from the position you have that you were elected to by your residents. When the term started, this term, I was asked if I would like to be the warden because I was one of the oldest as far as experience. I'm saying that, if I would like to be the warden. And I went and talked to my residents, and without, there wasn't any exception. They all said, don't do it, Sherry. We elected you to be our mayor. We want you to be our mayor. We want you to put your time into that job. And so I said that I, did not want the position. I'm very happy to be the deputy warden with Bonnie. But if you take all the personalities away, we are representatives as county council of democracy. And here we are handcuffing the democracy, the very democracy that we represent. I don't believe that we should have the bylaw the way it's written right now. I think that we should allow that it be a free-for-all, and we all have the opportunity to vote in who we feel should be our leader at county council.
Thank you. And Councillor Franson.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like a recorded vote, and I'm going to be abstaining from voting because I'm torn on this issue. I feel both ways. I think that you've done an amazing job.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Franson. By abstaining from the vote, it is recorded as a no vote, correct?
Yes, I know.
Okay. But if you leave the chamber, it is not, is that correct? So if you leave the chamber, then it is recorded as absent vote.
Okay.
Right. Councillor Bird.
Thank you, through you, Warden. I've certainly heard both sides. I know where I came in the room today, where I'm going to vote, and I'm going to stay with that. In supporting the motion, we do every 2 years get to vote on this. Anybody can step into that role. And I would certainly say I'm not really a member of the Bonnie Clark fan club. I think she's done a great job, but I think any one of us here could do that job. But it has changed. Like even in the last 4 years, the warden is representing our county across the province and beyond. And so the job has changed quite dramatically in the last few years. But we can vote that person in or out, and I think that's our democratic society. So just from that alone, I will support this notice of motion.
Councillor Black.
Thank you, through the warden. I'm a newbie here from the previous term, so I'm not wholly understanding exactly what all the reasons were other than the report for the changes to the policy. I believe in democracy, and I agree that this chamber has the ability to elect a warden every 2 years, regardless of, or should have that opportunity to support a warden every 2 years, regardless of the policies. I sit on a number of volunteer committees where there are term limits. Those term limits are there to bring fresh ideas, bring new people, help. You know, you have a vice chair that typically will move up, that sort of thing. And, you know, Councillor Whalen's points earlier around over the last, you said 20 years, there was 2 townships representative. And over the last 10 years, Selwyn's been the deputy, had the deputy position. So there hasn't been a lot of change in leadership in those areas. But I'm going to support the motion because I believe in the democratic process of this chamber picking a warden who is most suited for the job and is best prepared for the job. So that if there was a mention earlier about the possibility of adding something to it that would allow a situation where a warden, if they are unanimously voted for, you could have the best of both. You could have something in the policy around term limits, but also the ability to elect a warden that is unanimously supported by this chamber. So I will support the motion. I'd like something more flexible if possible, if that's a possibility today. Because I do think having a succession plan, a deputy warden that has some experience in what goes on at the warden's office, possibly wanting to jump into the warden's position in the next term, I think that's a good thing as well. So I support the motion. I'd prefer to see it where it offers both situations, but if not, I'll support the motion anyways.
All right, I see no other. I'm going to call for the vote as the motion and record it, and I'll turn it over to Karen.
Yes. Could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Can I ask a question? This amendment that Councillor Black has referred to, and I think Councillor Graham spoke to it as well. I'd just like that to be explained to me if I could, to help me understand it.
So the motion, okay, just I'm looking to Carrie here for a bit of direction. So the motion is on the floor. We have mover and seconder. Okay, all right. So what is the amendment then?
Councillor Graham has his hand up.
I don't see it up, Councillor Taylor. Oh, your eyesight's there. Thank you. Now I do see it. I was going to say, have I missed something here?
Well, sorry, when I took it down when I didn't know if we were going to a vote or whatever, so just for the sake of simplicity, yeah. I just believe that the motion as it's presented or seconded right now, I mean, to me, it goes a little too far to an undoing or a recreation. I think there should be some language to suggest that there shouldn't be more than 2 consecutive term limits. But there's an opportunity to simply amend the existing policy that was just created to say, you know, I think it's very understandable that, well, if there's unanimous support, then there's really there's no undermining of democracy, first of all. I really take issue, and I really take issue with that language. All of this is democratic. This conversation, this appointment, term limits are not undemocratic. They're democratically decided upon. And this one is no different. So let's just put that language to bed because it's a bit dangerous and I don't want to get off of the consideration. All of this discussion is democratic. We're all democratically elected and we can create policies to guide and lead our democracy as we govern. That's what we're doing. So in regards to the conversation, what I think would be accommodate all of these concerns, because I think it's fair to understand that when you go through, especially an election and all the changes and potentially new faces around a table, there's a lot of unknowns. I just think that there could simply be language. If there's no other candidate or interested party and the 2-term serving warden is willing to engage in a 3rd term, I don't have an issue with that. Like there are ways in which we can easily circumvent a 3rd term restriction if that's it's being ruined. And I think the 2 examples, whether it's through a unanimous support or in the absence of any new candidate, like those are 2 scenarios that make perfect sense to allow a 3rd term to me and are quite likely, especially given the positivity that I think all of us really feel about the warden. It's not personal. It's just the fact that I do think there has to be an acknowledgement that both the position of the warden and the deputy warden should be circulated. They should be represented from different voices with new ideas. And, I think there's a way to do it in a way that accomplishes both sides of the argument that isn't really reflected in the notice of motion to me right now. And so that's why I can't support it as it's drafted, and where I think that rather than the notice of motion as it's presented, an amendment to the existing motion that creates that caveat. In the absence of no other, interested candidates or unanimous support, like those 2 conditions to me make very reasonable sense. And I think still accommodate the kind of the nudge that this policy creates to say, after 2 terms, it should really be, there should be a real concerted effort to find a new opportunity for a new representative to hold the chair. So I don't know if that's clear. That's certainly not motion language for the clerk, but that's why I can't support the notice.
So I just need clarification. So in order to be the warden, anybody running would have to have unanimous support, therefore not waited for a new candidate or an old. You would have to have unanimous, because you're saying an existing warden would have to have unanimous, but a new person would not have to have unanimous.
Or if there's no other candidates, they would be given the
So
first
both would have to have unanimous support. I'm going to just go to Councillor Martin and then Councillor English.
So I understand what Councillor Graham's trying to say, but really, I think the motion as it is, here again, we're gonna have a say here, whether we support this or not, and it sounds like it's gonna be recorded, so we'll deal with however it falls out, we'll deal with it. I've sat on a number of committees over the years that have these types of policies. I can think of 3 alone, like whether they're just organizations or whatever, that try to change the top. And in the end, you're saying, can we amend that? Because nobody wants it. So then you're trying to amend it at that time. So why not just deal with it here? We're still allowed to if we don't like where it's going, or if we see another option, we get to vote on it, just like we're going to vote today. And so be it. But like I say, I've got 2 or 3 committees or groups that I've been on in the past over the years that nobody's kind of stepping forward. And then you say, well, we're going to have to amend that policy so we can you can carry on for another year. So that's my thoughts. I do support the motion as it is. We still get to select a warden every 2 years. We're just not tied to, one is eliminated. So that's my thoughts, and I'll just leave it at that.
Going to Councillor Webb, and then I'm going to go to Councillor Amiot, because as mover of the motion, Councillor Amiot will speak last to it, and then I'll call the vote.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just concerned about kind of the term limits being thrown around. So we're looking to, I guess, impose term limits here around the warden. Do we have any other term limits in terms of how long somebody can sit in a municipality for mayor, deputy mayor? No? Why don't we have those? Well, I understand that. I understand that here, and again, it's funny and whatnot, but it's pretty much the same question. So, you know, if we're gonna do this, then let's start the conversation in terms of, you know, whatever is the term limit for each one of us that's here and that moving forward. So I agree with in terms of, I don't think, I know everybody here is a lot more prepared to be warden than I am, but there is a lot to this job. I don't see you picking this job up in 6 or 8 months. To be able to do it at a level in terms of, you know, moving what Peterborough County wants to move forward here. So that's my issue in terms of this. That's kind of, I think, what I'm probably going to side with the motion in terms of how it stands right now. So.
And then the Councillor Amiot kind of circling here. It's a recorded vote. We'll go from there.
Okay, just one thing, that says, part of the motion is that staff be directed to review the procedural bylaw. So there doesn't need to be an amendment of anything here today. If, staff gets together with, whatever they do to, amend the thing, Councillor Graham's, idea could be put into it. But it doesn't really go along with the rest of the motion. I think this is a standalone motion, but at the same time, there is must be some flexibility in the recommendations coming forward.
Thank you. Councillor Amiot.
Yeah, I think I want my motion to stand as it is. And I think that the suggestion about, you know, I think it makes it more complicated. You start saying, well, we really, I mean, it's not really restricted because if, you know, you want to do it, you can still do it as long as nobody else runs. But as soon as somebody else runs, then you can't run. And I don't know how that would work. And I think that council needs to prioritize competence, effectiveness, and readiness over rotation for its own sake. And that's why, and as I said, I still think it's okay for us to say, like, ultimately that this is the most democratic way to do it. Every 2 years, we vote. The wording in this says that staff be directed to review the procedural bylaw, recommending necessary changes for the upcoming election, and to remove all wording restricting an individual to hold the position of warden for more than 2 consecutive terms. It's straight, it's to the point. I like it. That's why
I'm going to call the vote as the mover. Oh, sorry. Okay, this.
Just a very quick comment.
Yes.
The Conservation Authority, it's correct, as Councillor Taylor pointed out, is a 2-year term, but you can ask for provincial exception, which Kawartha Conservation has done.
Thank you, Councillor Francis.
And I'd like to remove the request of a recorded vote.
Oh, Councillor Amiot is asking for a recorded vote.
Oh, I probably it's okay.
So, yes, go ahead, Carrie, and explain to Councillor Francis.
Councillor Franzen, are you removing yourself from the chambers for the vote?
Yes, I'll remove.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we will wait for Councillor Franzen to leave the chamber, and then we will ask the clerk to do a recorded vote.
Okay, I'll start with the mover. Councillor Amiot,
Yes.
Councillor Whalen,
No,
Councillor Wilford,
Yes.
Councillor Taylor, Deputy Warden Senes,
Yes.
Councillor Nelson,
Yes.
Councillor Graham,
No,
Councillor Martin,
Yes.
Councillor Black,
Yes.
Councillor Burt,
Yes.
Councillor Lambshead, Councillor Huntley,
No.
Councillor Webb,
Yes.
Councillor Watson,
Yes.
Warden Clark,
Yes.
and it's carried.
All right. Okay, Councillor, yes, Francis, come on. We're all still friends. Yes. Very good debate. So I'm going to go now to announcements, and I think this may be a first time in this chamber that we have been able to congratulate a council member on the arrival of a son, Clark Lawrence. So Matthew and Beth are very proud parents, and we would like to send our congratulations to you both. You aren't in the chamber today, but we do have a gift for Clark, and a very good choice of names, I may add, to Councilor Brown. And we will be sending the present home for Clark with Councilor Huntley. So anyway, congratulations to you.
Thank you, Warden. Yeah, we are just overjoyed with Clark's safe and healthy arrival. He's already over birth weight, so that's milestone number one out of the gate, and I'm counting all of them, and he's well ahead on his way, so he's an overachiever like his mother. But I do want to just express my sincere and just completely heartfelt appreciation to Dr. Packenham and all of the staff at PRHC, and also our OB, Dr. Delatelia, and all the staff at the Evolve Clinic. I mean, I think many of, if not all of you are aware, and I'm just becoming aware of you know, how important and how life-changing this whole experience can be. And the staff at PRHC and the Evolve Clinic were just so supportive and so helpful in bringing us through this wonderful, wonderful experience. So I just have to pass on that appreciation and recognition. And you know, Peterborough is very well served with those individuals in the maternity ward and at our hospital involved in, you know, what is just such a special journey. So I just my heartfelt appreciation to all of them, and thank you for the recognition. I'm sure Clark will appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm sure that in these chambers, we have never made such announcement. So congratulations. Looking around, any further announcements in the county? Okay, I see none at this time, so thank you. Okay, I now need a motion to move into close, and I have lost my paper on that. Thank you. All right, so we're going to move into closed session under the authority of the Municipal Act under Section 239 2B I and K. So a motion for that, please. Moved by Deputy Warden Senes and seconded by Councillor Nelson. All in favor? Thank you.